There's something about cheese in this country that goes way beyond food. It's heritage, it's comfort, it's the cornerstone of a proper ploughman's lunch, the soul of a Welsh rarebit, and the star of every Christmas cheese board. We eat about 12 to 13 kilograms of cheese per person every year in the UK, and half of that, cheddar. It's everywhere. In sandwiches, on jacket potatoes, melted into toasties, grated over pasta. But here's the thing nobody really talks about. Cheese is one of the single biggest sources of saturated fat in the British diet. And saturated fat is what clogs your arteries, raises your LDL cholesterol, and accelerates heart disease. Heart UK and the NHS are pretty clear on this. Women should have no more than 20 grams of saturated fat per day, men 30 grams, and ideally, any cheese you're eating should have less than 3 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. The problem?
The standard portion size of 30 grams, about the size of a matchbox, is completely ignored by almost everyone, and that's where the danger starts. Let's be honest. Nobody sticks to 30 grams of cheese. When you're making a cheese toastie or grating cheese over a baked potato, you're not weighing it out on kitchen scales, are you? You're eyeballing it. And what feels like a normal amount is usually somewhere between 60 and 100 grams. That's triple or quadruple the recommended portion. In one meal, you've blown past your entire daily saturated fat allowance. And it's not just about quantity. It's about the culture around cheese. There's this obsession on social media with the cheese pull. You know, that slow-motion shot of melted cheese stretching from a sandwich or a slice of pizza. It's become this visual symbol of indulgence, and people are deliberately adding more cheese to their recipes just to get that effect. It's gone beyond taste. It's performance.
Then there's the whole artisan cheese movement. People buy farmhouse cheddar at farmers' markets, thinking it's healthier because it's natural, small batch, traditional. But the reality? Those cheeses often have even higher levels of saturated fat than the supermarket stuff because the milk isn't standardized.
There's no regulation on fat content, so you're paying more for something that's actually worse for your heart. And all of this is driven by production methods most people know nothing about. Here's where it gets really interesting. The longer a cheese matures, the less water it contains. That's basic chemistry. So when you buy an extra mature or vintage cheddar, those ones aged for 12 to 24 months, the water has evaporated over time, leaving behind a super concentrated block of fat, protein, and salt. That strong, sharp flavor everyone loves, that's the result of a dairy matrix that's been compressed and intensified. The fat content per gram skyrockets. And because saturated fat melts in your mouth and coats your tongue, it creates this creamy, rich sensation that's genuinely addictive. The industry knows this. So to guarantee that experience in every block, they enrich the milk with extra cream before turning it into cheese. More fat equals more flavour. More mouthfeel, more sales.
But here's the sneaky part. The front of the packet will say things like rich in calcium or made with British milk, all technically true, but flip it over and the traffic light label for saturated fat, bright red, between 18 and 22 grams per 100 grams. That's the reality. And it hits hardest with the biggest brands in the country. Cathedral City. If there's one cheese that defines the British supermarket aisle, it's this one. Mature and extra mature cheddar from Cathedral City sits in nearly every fridge in the country. It's reliable, it's affordable, it's everywhere. But a 100-gram block contains about 21.7 grams of saturated fat. If you make a sandwich with 60 grams of it, which is a pretty normal amount, you're getting 13 grams of saturated fat. That's over 65% of a woman's daily limit in one sandwich, and that's before you add butter or mayo. On top of that, it's got 1.8 grams of salt per 100 grams.
Your blood pressure and your cholesterol are both taking a hit.
Then there's Pilgrim's Choice. They market themselves on extreme flavour, extra mature, vintage, the kind of cheddar that punches you in the face with sharpness. And it does.
But that intensity comes at a cost. Between 21.5 and 22 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. If you're eating this regularly, your LDL cholesterol is going to climb, no question. And then you've got Davidstow. This is the premium end. Cornish cheddar aged for up to 3 years. It's beautiful cheese, honestly. The flavour's incredible. But because of that long maturation, the fat concentration is even higher, around 22.5 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. One portion at a dinner party and you've smashed through your limit for the day. I think what gets me is that these aren't niche products. These are the cheeses people buy every week without thinking twice. Now, let's talk about the festive favourites. Wensleydale with cranberries. You know the one. White cheese with little red fruity bits running through it. It's a Yorkshire classic, made famous by Wallace and Gromit. It's everywhere at Christmas. Sweet, crumbly, mild. Feels harmless, right?
Except it's got between 18 and 20 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams, plus added sugar from the cranberries. So you're hitting your arteries with saturated fat and refined sugar at the same time. That combination drives inflammation and weight gain like nothing else. And then there's Stilton, the king of British cheese, protected designation of origin status, served with port and crackers at every Christmas dinner. It's tradition. But it's also one of the most dangerous cheeses you can eat if you're worried about your heart. Stilton has between 23 and 24 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. That's over 35 grams of total fat, plus more than 2 grams of salt per 100 grams. Cardiologists have literally identified Stilton consumption during the winter months as a seasonal risk factor for cardiac events in older adults. People gorge on it over Christmas and New Year, and then wonder why they feel sluggish or their blood pressure spikes. It's not a mystery. It's the cheese. Let's finish the list. Seriously strong cheddar. Scottish brand. Big, bold, sharp flavour. They achieve that by keeping extra fat in the curd during production. The result? 21 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. When you melt it, say in a macaroni cheese, you can literally see the oil pooling on the surface. That's saturated fat, and your body absorbs every bit of it. Then there's Red Leicester, the bright orange one, coloured with annatto. It's a staple in the budget aisles. Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Aldi. Cheap, mild, easy to grate. And because it's so affordable, families buy it in bulk and use it constantly. But it's still got between 20 and 22 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. During a cost of living crisis, people are choosing the cheapest option. And that cheap option is quietly filling their arteries with fat every single day. So, what's the alternative? Are there any cheeses in this country that won't wreck your cardiovascular system? Yes, there are 3, and they're all approved by Heart UK. First, Quark. It's a fresh, soft cheese with a texture somewhere between yoghurt and cream cheese. Brands like Arla and Golden Acre make it. And here's the big difference. Quark has less than 0.2 to 0.5 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. That's a green traffic light across the board. It's high in protein, virtually fat-free, and you can use it in cooking, on toast, in baking, pretty much anywhere you'd use cream cheese or sour cream. Second, cottage cheese, the one with the little white curds. Arla and Longley Farm both do great versions. The standard variety has between 0.6 and 1.5 grams of saturated fat per 100 grams. The low-fat versions go even lower. You can eat a normal-sized portion without worrying about your arteries, and it's packed with protein, so it's genuinely filling. Third, Eat Lean. This is a newer brand, made in Cheshire. They use skimmed milk and a natural pressing process to create a cheese that has only 1.3 grams of saturated fat and 3 grams of total fat per 100 grams. That's a 90% reduction compared to cheddar, and it's got 37 grams of protein per 100 grams. You can grate it, melt it, slice it.
It behaves like regular cheese, but it won't clog your arteries. These options exist. They're widely available. So why aren't people making the switch? Because there's a massive psychological barrier.
Cheese isn't just food in this country. It's identity. It's nostalgia. It's what your mum put in your sandwiches. It's what you ate at your nan's house. Asking someone to swap their beloved mature cheddar for cottage cheese or eat lean feels like asking them to give up a piece of their childhood. And let's be honest, those lower fat options don't taste the same. They don't have that creamy, fatty richness that coats your mouth and makes your brain light up. But here's the thing, your taste buds can adapt. If you gradually reduce the amount of saturated fat you're eating, your palate recalibrates. After a few weeks, the lighter options start tasting normal, and the heavy stuff starts feeling greasy and overwhelming. It's not about giving up cheese entirely. It's about understanding portion sizes and making smarter swaps where it matters. You don't need 100 grams of extra mature cheddar on a jacket potato.
You can get flavour and satisfaction from 30 grams of Eat Lean and a sprinkle of herbs. It just takes a shift in mindset. The British love affair with cheese doesn't have to end in a cardiovascular diagnosis, but the current way most people consume it, grating it by the handful, ignoring portion sizes, choosing the strongest, fattiest varieties because that's what tastes proper, that's a direct route to clogged arteries and high cholesterol. Understanding how labelling works, recognising the difference between 30 grams and 100 grams, and being willing to try the options recommended by Heart UK, quark, cottage cheese, Eat Lean, these aren't sacrifices, they're intelligent choices. You can still enjoy cheese. You can still have it on toast, in sandwiches, melted over pasta. You just need to be a bit more intentional about which type you're choosing and how much you're using. Your heart will thank you for it. And honestly, your taste buds might surprise you too.